New NBA show here on the Earnestly podcast. I'm your host, Ernest EJ Christian, as we're recording this on Tuesday morning around 11:30 on April 7th, 2026. Here, of course, with our NBA analyst, author, Greg Hrinya. Greg, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much. Thanks so much for having me, as always.
Yeah, we are, I won't say limping to the finish line, although the Lakers are definitely doing that. We'll get to that second. But we are officially about a week away from the start of the NBA postseason. Of course, the play-in will start. I believe the first game is on Tuesday. First, I think it's on Tuesdays, and then the playoffs start on Saturday overall, the Saturday after. So, but we'll get to that in a second, obviously. Lots on the show today. Although I gotta tell you, I think I stressed to you on before we start recording. Like, it's not just NBA basketball for me anymore. Like, baseball has started too. The Mets are playing pretty decent baseball right now. College basketball tournament just ended last night. Michigan wins that. We'll get in a second. But I just don't care right now. I'm kind of like in cruise control. Like I'm watching like parts of the games here or whatever is there, but I'm not locking in with any sports right now. And it's weird. I don't know. Is it old age? Is it just like, am I the only one who's a sports fan that covers this shit now, starting to like feel like his interest is waning? Where are you on this thing?
Well, I mean, unless you're a diehard college basketball fan, I mean, there's nothing really of consequence going on now. I mean, again, baseball is a 162 game season, and you're 7 games into it. So, I mean, like, it's fun to get back into it, but it's not like anything's being decided right now. And same thing with the NBA. The last month is a slog; nothing's getting decided. And hockey, same thing. I mean, you're just jockeying for position, but none of the games really are like mission critical games that are deciding anything. So, I mean, it's easy to get lost in a month or two before playoffs start.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at, man. I just don't. Now, obviously, when the playoffs start, I'm locked. So when the play-in start, I'll be locked in, obviously. Mm-hmm. But like it's right now. It's like, okay, I'm just chilling. Okay, there's a game on. And I may put it on in the background, but I'm not going all the way to lock into the game. Even Heat games now too, especially. I'm a diehard Heat fan, but I'm not even locking into that anymore, which is crazy.
Well, none of these regular season NBA games, I mean, for a long time, have had a lot of consequence to them. That's why once the play-in starts, but I mean, even then, you could have teams that want to bow out just so that they can be in the lottery. So, I mean, until the playoffs actually start, when there's something on the line for all these games, you're really not getting a great caliber of basketball and haven't really been getting a great caliber of basketball for a long time now. So, not the best season for the NBA. But I mean,
it's not. There's some good things going on, though. I will say there's some good things going on, though. Like, but it's just like is enough to grab retention. And we discussed in the show last week about the projected salary cap to go down $1 million for teams to spend money this coming up off season. I mean, that has to be reflective on the consumer pushing back on a very mid to bad product, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the playoffs will probably do huge ratings because I think everybody that's sort of checked out on the regular season has just been waiting for the postseason to roll around where the games are actually going to mean something and you're actually going to get 100% effort from these guys on every given night. Whereas right now, for most teams, I mean, most teams are in cruise control. I mean, 17, right. You could probably say 15 to 17 teams aren't even trying to win games right now for lottery seeding and whatnot. I mean, even a team like Golden State, who's going to be in the play-in,
right?
Like, I mean, I'm sure that if you ask them with truth serum, they'd rather lose that game and have a shot in the lottery. they'd probably rather have a shot to move up into the top 3 or 4 than get their the brakes blown off at OKC in the first round. So
Right. Before we get to the NBA in a second, we just mentioned we touched on college basketball a little bit. Michigan last night wins their, I believe, their second national title in school history. The men's team beating UConn last night. Again, much like I discussed a little while ago about being half foot in the tournament, half foot in the NBA season, barely a foot in baseball currently. I didn't watch a minute of this game last night. In fact, I forgot this game was on. And yeah, you tell me, am I a sports fan? Absolutely, but is it me getting older? Is it just priorities? Is this like a shift here? I don't know. But Michigan did win last night. I did pick them to win the national title before the tournament started. Albeit I didn't think we'll have the amount of teams that did miss the Final Four miss it, but whatever. Your thoughts on Michigan winning last night? Are there any players coming to the draft most likely that we need to keep an eye on from that team?
I guess I wasn't surprised that they won. I mean, I had them in the Final Four. Maybe I would have been more locked into the game had it been Arizona, since I picked Arizona over Michigan, which in hindsight was a terrible pick. But
I didn't see that coming though. Look, Michigan winning is not a surprise. The way they won, I think, is more surprising.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at a guy like Burries, the guard for Arizona. It's like, he was projected to be a top 7, 8 pick. It's like, what does a performance like that do to you? Because I mean, it's like, okay, you played great against TCU, let's say, but I mean, when you face other NBA level competition, you have your worst game of the season. I mean, is that something that you want to invest your future in? And there's a lot of other good players. I don't know, but Michigan's, I mean, they probably got 3 first-round picks starting. The center, maybe not like super high in the first round, but I mean, he's projected to either be a mid to late first-round pick, early second-round pick. I mean, I followed it kind of over the course of the year, and I've seen varying things. Some people have him at 14, other people have had him at like 30. So, I mean, I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder. Yaxel Landenborg is going to be the highest rated one. I mean, he was limping going into the game with a sprained ankle a little bit last night, so he didn't have his best game. But he's probably like one of the more NBA ready players that any team could pick. The only issue for him is that he's 22 already, which, I mean, again, if you think that he's going to be the best player and he's going to step onto the floor right away and contribute, and that's what you want, then I wouldn't let that scare me away from him, rather than taking an 18 or 19-year-old who's, never going to amount to anything possibly. I think that he's probably a pretty safe pick for a lot of these teams. And then Morez Johnson. And I mean, again, all this is dependent on if these guys declare. I mean, Landenborg will be in the draft just because of how long he's been in college. But for these other guys, I mean, they could conceivably come back. Well, I mean, Morez Johnson conceivably could come back. But I'd imagine he'll declare too, coming off a championship. So you have 3 guys there. The guard played really well. I don't know what his plans are, but he played really well throughout the course of the tournament. All these guys are pro prospects.
But there's a good chance a lot of these top guys are going to be declaring for the draft.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that Morez Johnson, not that he has to declare, but he probably should, just given how the season went for him. Like, where else are you going? Your stock isn't going to be any higher coming off a championship.
Right. And not only that, as much money you can make on NIL, I think it's clear to say the NBA's, even rookie salary, is much bigger than what you get in NIL.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been bounced around from like 10 to 20 in that range. So, I mean, and again, there's always surprises. I mean, like last year, the Nets took Dioman, the guard out of BYU, at 8, and most people had him between 15 and 20. So, I mean, just because a guy is mocked in a certain place doesn't mean that a team higher up isn't going to fall in love with his skill set and take him a lot higher. You could get the Bulls at 8 that take him, or you could get some, Miami could, sneak him at 15 or 16 or whatever it is. So,
right. All right, let's get to the NBA real quick. The Lakers have won the big surprise of the league, how well they've been this year. But, man, timing sucks, bro, because they are losing key players at the worst time. We got Luka Doncic, number one. He hurt his hamstring last week against the Thunder. He's out indefinitely and indefinitely at least the rest of the regular season. Who knows how much games with some playoffs. And Austin Reeves himself gets hurt, I think, this weekend. He's out rest of the season as well, too. Also, not sure when for the playoffs. Man, timing sucks, bro. Lakers were one of those teams people are like, oh, man, look, we don't believe in them. We don't think they're no more than a second round exit. But there are people who are starting to talk themselves into thinking maybe the Lakers can beat the Spurs or the Thunder. I don't agree, but if you're not getting these two guys back, he's probably out in the first round, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only saving grace for the Lakers is that they're lined up to play the Rockets in the first round. So, I mean, they're a team that's got their own turmoil going on. I know the Rockets have won 6 straight, but I mean, I don't know that a lot of people have looked at the Rockets as a team that was playing a lot of cohesive basketball for much of the second half of the season. So, I mean, if the Lakers could ever get past the first round, you could then look at them possibly getting healthy for the second round. But I mean, if they're going into the first round against the Rockets with no Reeves and no Luka, I mean, the Rockets couldn't ask for a bigger gift than that. So, I mean, and it looks like that's going to be the matchup.
Yeah.
It looks like OKC, San Antonio, Denver are probably going to be slotted in those first 3 spots. And then Minnesota's 3 games, 3 in the loss behind Houston, 4 in the loss behind the Lakers. And with only 4 or 5 games left, I mean, Minnesota, I think, is pretty much locked in at the 6. So
right.
you're probably going to see Lakers Rockets first round, which if they could get Luka for that, I mean, I don't know how serious it is. I know he's going to Europe to get some sort of experiment.
Yeah, I saw that.
His hamstring. I don't know. I don't know what shape physically they're going to be in heading into it. But if the series started today, I'd say their season's over. But I mean, I know they won't have Reeves for that round. But if they have Luka and they have
is that confirmed? Is that actually confirmed now? Reeves out for the first round of playoffs?
Well, I mean, he's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. They put a number on it then. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, even if you say he's out a month, a month.
Yeah, because all I heard when he got hurt was that he was out for the regular season. I didn't hear no other numbers in that, so I was just saying.
Yeah, okay, even if you say that he's at the short end of 4 to 6 weeks, even if you give him 3 weeks, I mean that's still missing most of the first round of the playoffs. So I mean, if you don't have Luka and you don't have Reeves, I mean you're pretty much shot at that point. But
can I argue right now, like even if Reeves comes back and as you said the short end, can I argue that the Rockets are not only the favorites, they're the heavy favorites in that series?
Yeah, I mean, given how banged up the Lakers are, yeah, they probably are the favorites in that series.
Yeah. So bad time for the Lakers.
Even if those guys come back, they might not come back anywhere near 100%.
But that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, just because they're playing doesn't mean that they're playing well enough to help them win a series. So I mean, that's a a good break for Houston, who I guess you could say needed one after. I mean, basically since that burner scandal with KD broke around the All-Star break, they have not been a cohesive unit. Although they have gotten pretty healthy here lately. But I mean, again, beating a lot of mediocre teams: Warriors, Jazz, Bucks, Pelicans, Grizzlies. I mean, 5 of their 6 wins are against teams that are, either playing out the string or trying to lose. So, I mean, they've got 1 win over those 6 games, and that was against the Knicks. So,
right. Speaking of the injury to Luka, did you see the video last week when Luka got hurt and there was a fan that shouted out to Luka? That's what you get for playing defense, whatever. And then Reeves went off. I had for our listeners. Usually I mentioned that for our listeners and our watchers, especially too on YouTube at youtube.com/Earnestly Here's a video of the exchange with Austin Reeves with a fan after Luka got hurt last week.
Now you don't want to play defense. Shut the f*** up. Shut up. It's fucking hurt. Don't interact with that, okay?
It's now time for Love's Kiss Cam. Time to pucker up and give your sweetie a kiss. It's the Love's Kiss Cam.
Have some respect. Have some respect. Don't interact with him. Don't interact with him. Have some respect. Don't interact.
All right. Like my first instinct is to say like these players are so damn sensitive. Like, come on, fans do be fans thing. I gotta be honest. I watched this video. I'm like, no, I actually love what Reeves did here because some fans sometimes need to get checked. I'm sorry. I know you're paying customers this and that. Doesn't mean you get to talk reckless, whatever, to a player, or whatever, just for the sake of being reckless, and then not get checked at least. You know what I'm saying? So, your thoughts on that? I honestly, given the fact that I know some players are sensitive, but this exchange, I have no problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it from either side. I mean, it's not like the fan, was shouting something gratuitous at him, and I have no problem with Reeves protecting his teammate. And to be honest, a lot of this stuff historically has probably happened for years that you just never got caught on camera. So
absolutely,
I don't think there's anything that's happening here that has not happened before. It's just that you normally don't get to see it. So the fact that we saw it, I really don't think that it was a big deal either way. I don't have a problem with either side. I mean, I mean, should the fan have said it? No, but I've heard a lot worse. So
now you mentioned the Rockets won 6 games in a row, and that's cute and all. The Nuggets, the team that we believe are still a contender, now won 9 straight. A couple weeks ago, we did the show. We were concerned because Jokic didn't look the same. Since the injury, he's still playing okay, but not by his standards. And they had a couple of injuries here and there. But I think they're back. They're fully together again. Aaron Gordon's back, and Murray's healthy. Jokic is back, of course. Cam Johnson played last night. The Nuggets 9 in a row at the right time. They get hot right time. They're going to probably be the 3 seed in the West. How do you feel about the Nuggets now than you did, say, maybe a month ago?
I feel better, but I don't know that I feel better to where I'd put them ahead of San Antonio or OKC. I mean, again, it's the same type of thing. When you run down the list of wins that they've had, the win against the Spurs was a phenomenal win.
Yeah, on Sunday, right?
Nothing that you're going to take away from that. But then again, you're seeing the Warriors, the Jazz twice, the Mavericks, the Trailblazers a couple times, which, I mean, again, the Trailblazers are a fine team, 9, 10 seed in the West. But, I mean, they weren't going through a gauntlet by any stretch. I think the reason why you'd be a little more optimistic is just because they seem to be on the healthier side at this point. I know they still don't have Peyton Watson back yet, but, I mean, they have Cam Johnson back. They have Christian Brown back. Jokic is, seemingly, that injury is in the past. So
big game last night to that against Portland.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, as long as Murray and Jokic are healthy, and you have some of those supporting cast members dialed in, I'd still like to see Peyton Watson come back. But I mean, for the most part, I think this is as good as they're probably going to look. So I mean, as far as health wise, they really don't have any injuries outside the Watson one. So. Where they were a couple months ago, it was basically the walking wounded. So, I feel better about where they are. I mean, I would still put them in that, 3 or 4 team, could go to the finals, mix in the West. So, I mean, like, I feel good enough about it to say that. I wouldn't bet money on them to do that at this point.
So because I believe you had Denver to win the whole thing before you started, right?
Yeah. Before the season, I had them beating the Knicks, and I just don't know that the way the season is played out, if, I don't know that I can count on Aaron Gordon being healthy for, a month and a half. I don't know that I can count on Peyton Watson being healthy for a month and a half. But I mean, the same thing could be said for Wemby. I don't know that I can count on Wemby being healthy for the full stretch to get to the finals. The team that I probably have the most faith in as far as all that stuff goes is OKC. Even if Jalen Williams doesn't play, I still feel good if you give me SGA, Holmgren, and all the role players healthy. I'd roll with that. So,
Jones is back, right? He's back.
Yeah, he's come back. To mixed results. I mean, I don't think that any of the season that he's actually played has been overwhelmingly good. But you'd still rather him be out there than not.
How many games he played this for? Like 30?
Yeah, in that range, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty low. And they still won 60, and that's the impressive part. They still won 62, 63 games so far, hence the final week, and that's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, which is why SGA is going to win the MVP again.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. I mean, you win that many games, and you've got injuries around you, and your numbers are what they are. It all adds up. I mean, like we were talking about it last week, him compared to Wemby, it's like I think he's played an extra like 300 and something minutes.
He's forced to be the guy, and he's been doing more than his load.
Wemby pretty much has been capped at 30 minutes to try and prevent what happened the other night from happening. I mean, they're trying to get Wemby through the season healthy. SGA is playing 36 minutes a night. So, I mean, like, I feel like that stuff all has to matter.
Right. Speaking of Wemby and the Spurs, they are the second team in the league to cross 60 wins this year. What a story. You and I both had the Spurs going to playoffs this year, top 6 team in the West, I believe. But again, this is part of a process. The process of you figure it out, you're growing, and by a couple of years, and then you figure it out. But it feels like this year they just took a massive leap. Wemby himself, too. And he missed time also. They still didn't lose a beat without out of lineup. So your thoughts on the Spurs, 60 wins this year, and Wemby's third year, your thoughts on the whole thing? That's pretty impressive, in my opinion.
This is why, like, the 2024 draft where Risa Shea went first and everyone was like, oh, it's a joke of a draft. I mean, Castle went fourth. Castle could arguably make an All-NBA team this year. I mean, like, he's that good. So, I mean, he's looks like a perennial all-star. He's locked down on defense. His offense has come around. I mean, he's at a 30-10-10 game, maybe multiple 30-10-10 games. So, I mean, he's turned into a much better player than I think they ever could have hoped for. And then Harper coming off the bench, I mean, if he had gone to a team like a Washington or a Utah or one of those places, I mean, he probably, I don't want to say probably would have been a rookie of the year because, I mean, I guess, Flagg and Knipla both had great years. But, I mean, it's not Harper's fault that he sort of got buried on the bench of a team that had lofty expectations. So, I mean, he's a really good player and also an all-star caliber player. And obviously they had to have some lottery luck to wind up with that. But, I mean, that's just the reality of it. They've got 3 guys who are really good guards. So, I mean, that's a rotation that they can run every night. I mean, Carter Bryant, I think, is a good player too, and he barely plays just because they've got so much depth in that guard and wing position. So, but it's all going to come down to Wemby. If Wemby's healthy, it changes the whole dynamic of what they can be. They can win a title if he's healthy. If he's not, or if he runs out of steam, they can get bounced early. He's going to dictate a lot of that because he's arguably the best or most important player in the league just because of how he defends.
And yet, I still feel like a potential second round series between these two teams, between San Antonio and Denver pushed up to 7 games because of experience. Because there's still no level you got to go to when you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, San Antonio hasn't been there before with this group. So, I mean, it's still like if they lost in the second round, that wouldn't shock me.
No, not at all.
Just because they don't have the experience. But if you're just going based on talent, if they're healthy, they can win a title. But, I mean, again, like, you have to say that because you never know if Wemby's going to be 100% for a month and a half, 2 month stretch of time.
Especially with Denver's case, like, there's an argument that the window is probably now or maybe next year because of the ascending teams right now that's on the way up, plus teams already there who right now are currently ahead of them. So there's an argument that the window could be now and no more than next year. So that's why I think Denver, if Jokic and company wants to win another title, you got to catch it now while you could. Yeah,
and teams like Portland and Utah are going to be a lot better next year. Like Utah basically threw away this whole season, but still made moves to be a contender next year, and they're still going to get their top 6 draft pick out of it. So, I mean, they're going to add another piece to Jaren Jackson, to Walker Kessler, to Markkanen, to Keontae George. So, I mean, that's another team that these older Western Conference teams are going to have to deal with next year. They didn't have to deal with this year. So, I mean, there's always, a door closing, a window opening, that sort of thing with all these. So.
Right. Let's go out east. The Pistons officially clinched number 1 seed in the East. I believe for the first time since 2008 or 2007. I can't remember which year it was. They did that. Maybe one of those couple years, maybe 06. But since the mid 2000s, it's been a long time since the Pistons at this top of the heap. And what's most impressive about what they've done here is that they did this without Cade Cunningham for the last, I think, 3 weeks now. With the Boston team who's fully healthy now with Tatum back. And other teams in the East not really gaining much ground on them. So, I mean, look, we have concerns about Detroit coming to the playoffs about their lack of shooting and if Cade's back, whatnot, and if they can still beat Detroit or even Cleveland or Boston in a 7-game series. Not New York, sorry, not Detroit. But Having said that, though, just to get to this point now, even with some of the challenges they faced recently, pretty impressive stuff here.
Yeah, and they've had some revelations along the way too, like Dennis Jenkins, a kid who played at Iona and St. John's. I mean, like they never expected him to be a guy who was capable of running the team in Cunningham's absence. So I mean, they found some things along the way. But I mean, look, like you said, it's are they going to have enough shooting in the playoffs against a team like a Boston or a New York? I mean, New York and Cleveland, I feel like they could beat any given team, but they could also lose to any given team.
Yeah, because it's so
like I mean, like I watched the Knicks and Hawks last night, and I'm like, these teams don't really look that much different from each other. I mean, like I don't look at the Hawks as like a step below the Knicks. I look at a lot of these teams as all very similar. All these series could go 6-7 games because I don't see a lot of differentiation outside of the Celtics. But I mean, that's a good thing for Detroit because they've been the best team all year. And if there's not a lot separating these teams, I mean, they've certainly got to like their chances. I still wish that they had gone after one guy at the trade deadline, like one more impact player with all their assets to try and like push themselves over the top a little bit. It's the same argument that we had just now with Denver. Like you're going to have teams that are going to be better next year, like Indiana and Washington are going to be a lot better next year, not just because of the draft pick that they get, but because they went out and traded for guys that they were planning on playing next year, but not this year. And you assume that a team like Miami is going to, make a move in the offseason. So, I mean, like, this was a golden opportunity for Detroit. Not saying they wasted it. They could still go to the finals. But I just feel like this was the cleanest path they'd ever get to win a championship, and they should have done everything they could to load up for it.
Right. And look, I mean, to your point, they may still do it. But yeah. But we got Boston coming back. To hit him come back earlier than we realized, and Boston was better even without him, and then I've gotten better with him. So yeah, a couple of things to really look at there. All right, last thing, we'll get you out of here. It's the last chance to look at the standings because next time we come back here next week, the season will be over. We'll be facing the playoffs. We want to go East or West first?
We can go with the East first.
Okay, Eastern Conference here first. Here's your current standings right now. We're doing sections number one. Well, let's look at the bottom 5 teams first. I mean, they're all of it: Milwaukee, Chicago, Brooklyn, Indiana, and Washington from 11 to 15. Obviously, nothing to talk about there other than the Giannis situation. I know the Bulls fired their some executives yesterday too. Also, outside of that, nothing to speak up here.
I mean, the Bulls situation is fairly interesting because their front office more or less ran the team into the ground the last 5 years. But then, you hear comments from the front office saying that ownership wasn't allowing them to run the team the way they would have wanted. Like they would have wanted to have tanked last year, this year, and ownership didn't want that, and so that's why you wind up with a team that's basically around 30 wins 30 to 35 wins every single year. So like they couldn't really pick a direction because they had no path to being where the Celtics are, and they weren't allowed to go to where the Wizards are. So, I find that a little interesting. We'll see. I've seen some names floated around, Masai Ujiri and Luol Deng and stuff like that. Again, I don't know who's
Luol Deng, interesting.
I don't know who's ultimately going to take that job, but
right.
Not that it's going to make a huge difference, but I mean, that stuff is always interesting.
Do you identify that as a good job, the Bulls?
Right now, no.
Okay, in general,
no. If you look at if any one of those bottom 3 jobs open, I mean, obviously the Pacers job will never open up. That's an anomaly. But and obviously the Wizards, the Wizards have continuity from ownership down to management, down to the coach of we are intent on tanking, and they're all in lockstep. So, I mean, that job isn't opening up.
They're supposed to be there, in other words, right?
Yeah, just saying hypothetically, if any of those jobs did open up, they'd all be more attractive than the Bulls, just because the Bulls every year are drafting 9 and 10, and I mean, it's hard to find game-breaking talent if you don't have a top 2 or 3 pick. They didn't get a chance to get, like I said with Dylan Harper. I mean, if they had Dylan Harper this year, I mean, he might have been Rookie of the Year, but instead he goes to San Antonio, and they wind up, drafting at 12.
Right. So that's the bottom 5, of course. Milwaukee, of course, we've spoken poetical of that team all year long. I'm done with them right now. So the top 6 first. Obviously, Detroit locking the number 1 seed. Boston at 2. I think they're almost a lock. Not lock quite yet, but almost a lock. The New York at 3. You got Cleveland at 4. Atlanta now surging at 5. Toronto at 6. Does this 6? Well, obviously minus Detroit, of course. Does there other 5 teams here? Does that hold to Sunday?
Well, I mean, the first 4 teams are going to hold. I could see 5 through 10 all being totally different when we talk a week from now. I mean, that's entirely possible. Well, just because if you're looking at it, like Orlando at 9 is only 2 games behind Atlanta.
Not even. No, a half game.
Well,
Atlanta right for 5. Right for 5. You're right for 5.
Yeah.
At 6. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Toronto, like, they're hanging on by the skin of their teeth. I mean, the team that I think you probably don't want to face is Philadelphia.
Yes, that's the answer.
But I mean, Philadelphia and Charlotte, like, Charlotte's played great for 55, 60 games of the season. They started off horrifically, but I mean, net rating wise, they've been one of the best teams, one of the 5, 6 best teams in the entire league for 55 games now. So, I mean,
that's a great story for record. Do you talk about a great story in the league this year? That's a great story.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want to play them in the playoffs. Like if I were the Celtics, like, that's a hard first round matchup. But like, look, either one of them is going to be a hard first round matchup. I think Orlando would be a fairly easy first round matchup. Even Miami, I think, would be difficult, but I think that if you're Detroit, you're probably rooting for Orlando, and you think that, because if Orlando somehow got through, that would be the cleanest.
Am I wrong for thinking that no one's – I'm frustrated here because, like, no one for years, dating back to the Jordan years when I was a kid, everyone always shit on their Eastern Conference. Oh, the East is always weak. It's always 2 or 3, maybe even 4 teams, and the rest of it's just trash. And yet, as we sit here on this podcast, April 7, 2026, I am staring at a guaranteed of 10 teams that will be 500 or better this season. That's got to be impressive, right?
Somewhat. But I mean, if you look at the right column, the reason why all those teams are over 500 is because you have teams that are 40 games under 500. You got 3 of them. And, so I mean, like, the right column is so bad. And, you're playing those teams 3 and 4 times a piece. I think that's accounting for where a lot of those wins are coming from. So, I mean, I would still take the West's top end talent. Like, I still think those 3 teams, are better than the East's top 3 teams. I mean, maybe if you're saying the Celtics are going in as the betting favorite in Vegas, the other 3 top favorites would probably be coming out of the West. So yeah, I would agree that like Cleveland is better than like some of the middling talent out West. But I still don't know that a lot of those win totals aren't just being boosted by the fact that you have more aggressively tanking teams in the East than you do in the West.
So obviously 1 through 4 is going to hold pretty much. Maybe you get some challenge between 3 and 4 between the Knicks and the Cavs, but the big difference, the big challenge is going to be the big story here is going to be who's holding 5, who's on 6. If you had to predict right now who's going to be the 5-6 seed by the time we get to next week, who's going to be 5-6 seed in the East?
I mean, that's a good question. Atlanta's got a tough schedule remaining. So I mean, even though they've played great, I mean, like they play Miami. They play Miami and Cleveland twice. Now those games might not necessarily mean anything to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I mean, so maybe they're okay from that sense. So I mean, even though they've got a tough schedule on paper, Cleveland is probably fine being locked into the 4 because they'd probably rather play Detroit in the second round.
Right.
And they'd probably like to take their chances with Atlanta in the first round. So I mean, Cleveland probably looks at it and says, okay, Atlanta, Detroit, like that's our easiest path. So maybe those games don't matter as much. So maybe I will say that Atlanta's locked in there. I mean, as far as Toronto goes, I mean, their schedule, they play Miami twice. And they play the Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks are going to need that game, but I mean, those Miami games, I mean, you can make the argument Miami's a better team than Toronto. So, I mean, that Miami could wind up with the same record as Toronto. And then, you have Philadelphia jumping. So a lot of moving parts. I mean, Philadelphia is lucky where they have 3 games left. 2 of them are against tanking teams.
And they're healthy.
Yeah, and they're healthy.
I guess because obviously.
I mean, you can lock Philly in at 45 wins at this point, which means all Atlanta's got to do is win 1 game. Toronto would, they'd have to win a couple games. I don't know if Toronto. Yeah. I mean, Toronto, they have the Nets the last game of the season, so I mean, you figure that's a win. But if Miami beats them twice and the Knicks feel like they have something to play for, I mean, the Knicks conceivably could look at it and say we'd rather be the 4 seed too. So I mean, like,
right?
So I mean, you could have that. It's hard to know how the teams are going to approach the games. So I mean, like, we can look at it on paper and say, oh, you got to play Cleveland twice. You got to play the Knicks, but like the Knicks might want to be the 4 seed, for all we know, or Cleveland might want to be the 4 seed in which they're shutting down their 4 main players.
Here's where I feel right now. No doubt the Heat going to be a play-in team. The Magic will be a play-in team. Okay, I think it's a race for 3 teams. Okay, I think Charlotte is the big wild card here. What's their schedule looking like right now?
So Charlotte is playing Detroit, Boston, and the Knicks. So they have
two teams that don't need.
So they have the hardest schedule in the league on paper in the last 3 games. But I mean, again, I don't know like what those teams are playing for at that point. So I mean, like, it's easy to say, oh, they'll lose 1 or 2 of those games, so they're locked in. They're gonna cap out at 44 wins, so they're stuck in the play-in. But if none of those teams care and they win all 3 of those games, and Miami is trying to move up and they beat Toronto twice, you could have Toronto in the play-in and Charlotte moving up. So I mean, like, you don't know what the motivation is of the teams above you.
Well, Detroit's locked in 1. They can't go anywhere. They're probably going to rest guys. Yeah, most likely. Boston is very close resting guys as well too. Also, if they win 1 more game and you lose 1 more game between now and Saturday, they're going to rest guys, I'm sure too, especially Tatum. Get ready for the playoffs. So that's 2 potential wins for Charlotte. I think Charlotte's a big wild card here. But again, Philly's healthy.
Boston might not want to play Charlotte in the first round, which means they might lay down in that game to ensure that Charlotte moves up. I mean, like,
Lord, backwards tank, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. They might want to see Charlotte as the 6th seed as opposed to being the 7th seed, because they might not want that in the first round. But then, do you really want to play Philadelphia in the first round? Like, they're going to have to face somebody that's like fairly challenging, unless they get Toronto. I mean, if the goal, I think, for all these teams is whoever lines up against Toronto is probably going to feel the best about it.
My prediction is that Atlanta holds 5, Philly gets 6, just because they're healthy right time. I'm going to trust that the Oubre, Embiid, Paul George, Maxey combo, now everybody's healthy now. We'll see it through. So I'll predict those last 2 playoff spots will go to Philly. Atlanta hold 5, Philly gets 6, and then run down 7 through 10. Toronto, Charlotte, Toronto, Orlando, Miami.
I think Atlanta holds. And then it's a coin flip between Philly and Charlotte, I would say. I think Toronto's going to wind up in playing.
All right, let's now get to the Western Conference here now. A lot more cleaner, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's why I went with the East first, because I think the West was a lot cleaner.
Bottom 5 teams, of course, nothing to talk about there. Obviously, Cooper Flag's having a phenomenal run right now. We'll discuss that next week, because I wanted to get your thoughts on the Rookie of the Year race. I think it's a toss-up between him and Khan up in Charlotte. Obviously, all these teams are tanking at this point. So nothing's up to up there. Top of the West, real quick. Thunder not locked in number 1 yet, but fairly close. San Antonio 6 wins, lost 2, the 2 seed. Obviously, those are top 2 seeds in the West. Probably going to hold that way, that order. The real race here, I guess, is for 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, Denver plays Memphis tonight, so you can give them a win there.
Okay.
But then they play OKC and San Antonio the last 2 games, so you're not getting 2 harder games than that. But I don't know if there's motivation
priorities
for those games. And also the Lakers. I mean, I guess the good thing for the Lakers is that they play the Jazz and the Warriors. Those are 2 wins, and then I don't know if the Suns or the Thunder are going to need anything in those games that they finish out with. So. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that the Lakers are gonna move up. So, I mean,
no, I'm with you.
so even if the Lakers lose, one of those games and Denver manages a split and they go 2-1, that's enough to get them to the 3 seed. So I'd imagine that that's going to hold at 3.
Yeah, I think 4 and 5 do swap. I don't know if there's enough games for Minnesota to catch up to Lakers. Probably not enough games between now and Sunday, so they'll stay to 6. So I think 4 and 5 will swap. Number 3 will hold as is. I don't think, even though the Rockets will swap with Lakers, I don't think they'll catch up to the Denver, obviously. 7 through 10. But
matchups will all hold. So Minnesota's going to stay at 6.
That's 6. Yeah.
And then 7, 8, 9, 10 are.
Which, by the way, if you're Denver, I don't know if you still want that matchup done in the first round because they've given issues in the past. So that's that. Denver may want the 4th seed. I mean,
although I don't know how healthy Ant Edwards is. So I mean,
that's true. That's a good point.
I would pull back on. Previously I've said Minnesota's a team that could go to the finals if they're healthy. I mean, the injury that I saw rumored with Ant Edwards was similar to the knee injury that Curry had, that runner's knee or whatever. It's something that he can probably play through in the playoffs.
The NBA can't afford that. The NBA can't afford these injuries in the playoffs, bro.
But are you going to get a lot of 7 of 19 shooting games from him as opposed to him going for 40 every night? I just don't know that he's going to be healthy enough to go through 2 months. So I'd probably cross them off my list just because I can't guarantee that he's going to be healthy enough. And then you're going to be asking Julius Randle to do a lot of heavy lifting. That's just not going to get it done against OKC and San Antonio and Denver. So
there's still shakeup in the play-in, though. I mean, obviously Golden State's pretty much locked to the 10 seed, but 8 and 9 could swap.
Yeah.
I think Phoenix 7 is pretty much a lock at this point now. 8 and 9 could swap. I think that order does hold. I think Clippers do hold number 8 in the West, and we'll see what happens there. So the Western Conference is definitely a lot more fluid than the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference has a lot more activity to be figured out. But
there's a lot more to be decided in the East.
Yeah. So, but it should be a very fun last week. I know I complained earlier about how haven't felt locked in, all this stuff. But best believe next week Tuesday we'll be back on this podcast. We're going to do our awards and all this stuff, our predictions. Since it might be a little longer show. Best believe I'll be locked in then because it's playoff time, my favorite time of year. So, anyway, Greg, thanks for the podcast. Anything you want to plug?
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope.
How's the weather up there?
Still pretty cold. So I mean, it's we're lucky to get in the 50s. So
last week you said it was really, really, really warm.
Yeah,
and now it's really cold.
It's gotten cold again, and it stayed cold for the past week. So
it's been raining here all day. I was trying to go to the gym right now and do a 2-mile walk and then go to the gym, but we'll see what happens there. But Greg, good job as always, man. And we'll have you on next week, and we're doing our NBA awards. I especially want to have that Rookie of the Year debate with you on next week because I'm still undecided on that one, brother. That one's probably one of the best Rookie of the Year races we've seen in quite a while.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So, all right, good job, Greg.
Yep. See you next week.
You got it.